Chapter 2457. He didn't want to be involved in the matters of the imperial court. He didn't want to be involved in those complicated schemes and dark matters. The reason why he had achieved so much and performed so well. He just felt that there were some things he had to do, so he would do his best. Also, the earlier he finished the war at the frontier fortress, the earlier he could come back. Not only could he see Zhao Yun'er earlier, but he could also see Mu Lianfeng earlier. At the same time, he could let Zhao Yun'er and Mu Lianfeng reunite as soon as possible and live happily together as a family. For Yi Li, he felt that the happiest time in his life was when he lived with Zhao Yun'er's family. It was simple and happy. It wasn't a rich and powerful life, but it was very comfortable. After that period of time, Yi Li knew the life he wanted to pursue. Even if he didn't live with Zhao Yun'er's family in the future, he still wanted to buy a piece of land in Shuilan village, build a house and live a simple life. He didn't need to trouble Zhao Yun'er's family, but he could often see the people he wanted to see. Now that he accepted the emperor's reward, it meant that he would be involved in the life of the imperial court in the future. This was something he didn't want. In the eyes of others, this kind of decision was a bit foolish. Many people pursued fame and fortune their entire lives, but they still couldn't reach his current level. But he refused to accept the status and honor that was at his fingertips. The emperor's eyes deepened. After a few seconds of silence, he faintly opened his mouth and said, "But from the looks of it, isn't it too unfair for a talented person like beloved official Yi to only be an ordinary commoner? Jin cherishes talent. Beloved official Yi is a talent that I want to keep by my side." The emperor's words meant that he wanted to force Yi Li to stay. He wasn't happy with Yi Li's refusal. Everyone present knew that if Yi Li refused again, the emperor might really get angry. At that time, it could cause a very serious consequence. It might even cause Yi Li to lose his life. Zhao Yun'er looked at Yi Li with a trace of worry in her eyes. Zhao Yun'er knew a little about Yi Li. He had a stubborn personality, and wouldn't give up easily once he set his mind on something. Even in front of the emperor, he might not be willing to do what he didn't want to do under the emperor's pressure. Anil stared at Yi Li worriedly as he clutched the corner of his shirt. This fool, it's so good to accept a reward. Why does he have to be a commoner? If Yi Li didn't have any status, how could she marry him? Yi Li replied with an indifferent face, "The emperor's appreciation for this minister is this minister's honor. But there are many talents in the great Zhou country, not just this minister. This subject thanks your majesty for your kindness, but I still want to live a normal life. I hope your majesty will grant my wish." After Yi Li finished speaking, everyone held their breaths, afraid that they would be greeted with the emperor's fury in the next second. The emperor's eyes darkened, and there was an unreadable expression on his face. The air was a bit heavy and Zhao Yun'er's heart began to beat faster. She looked at Yi Li with worry before looking at the emperor. Mu Lianfeng suddenly stood up and said to the emperor, "Emperor, just grant General Yi his wish. Since he doesn't care about the court, there's no point in forcing him to stay. It's better to let him live the life he wants. After all, he is a hero of our great Zhou country this time. He has already made great contributions." Chapter 2458. How could he not be the same? However, his hereditary title meant that he could not be like Yi Li and completely escape from the matters of the imperial court. However, Yi Li had the opportunity to do so. As a friend, he naturally had to step forward and help him at this moment. The corners of the emperor's mouth slightly rose and his smile became even more thought-provoking. "Since that's the case, then we won't force you any further. All right. If beloved official Yi doesn't want to accept these things, then we won't force you. However, if beloved official Yi wants them one day, feel free to ask us. Today we promise to reward you. We can take back the things we gave you at any time." "Thank you, your majesty," Yi Li replied gratefully. Zhao Yun'er's hanging heart was finally put down. However, the emperor didn't get angry this time, and actually agreed to Yi Li's request. This made Zhao Yun'er feel a bit surprised. Sometimes things came too easily. The more she thought about it, the more she felt that there was something fishy going on. Forget it. She didn't want to think about it anymore. Once she thought about it carefully, Zhao Yun'er felt a headache coming on. Yi Li returned to his seat in satisfaction. However, Anil was stunned at this moment. Yili had rejected everything. Did that mean that there was no possibility between them? Sob, sob, sob. When she thought of this, Anil's heart ached. Anil's eyes were empty. She didn't even hear the Empress Dowager's shouts. The emperor continued to reward the other meritorious officials. Afterwards, the imperial palace arranged a program. They ate the delicacies of the imperial palace while watching these wonderful programs. It had to be said that the delicacies of the imperial palace were all very exquisite and delicious. Although the ancient songs and dances weren't as dynamic as the modern ones, they had a bit more flavor. When the banquet ended, it was already late at night. The people who came to participate in the banquet began to leave. Second cousin sister. Zhao Tianlong called out to Zhao Yin'er. Zhao Yin'er raised her head and saw Zhao Tianlong. She knew that Zhao Tianlong was an official in the capital, but she never thought that Zhao Tianlong's position would be this high. He even had the honor of entering the palace to participate in this reward banquet. It was obvious that his eldest cousin brother was not an ordinary person. Since they were relatives, Zhao Yin'er was very polite to Zhao Tianlong. She smiled and replied, "Elder cousin brother, are you also here to attend this award banquet?" "That's right." Zhao Tianlong nodded his head in response. At this moment, Zhao Yin'er discovered that there was a beautiful woman standing beside Zhao Tianlong. From the way she dressed and her temperament, it could be seen that this woman's background was not simple. It exuded a sense of nobility from the inside out. Seeing Zhao Yin'er looking at her, Princess Miao Yin smiled and nodded, greeting Zhao Yin'er. Zhao Tianlong stood at the side and introduced, "Yin'er, this is my elder cousin-in-law." Zhao Tianlong felt a little guilty as he introduced the two of them. As a member of old Zhao's family, Zhao Yin'er knew that his ex-wife was Shen Pan. Now that the person had suddenly changed, it was a little difficult to explain. Eldest cousin-in-law. Eldest cousin-in-law. Isn't she Pan sister-in-law? Why did it suddenly change? Could it be that Pan sister-in-law and eldest cousin-in-law divorced? Eldest cousin-in-law. Did you marry another woman? Zhao Yin'er asked curiously. She deliberately asked this question to see what Zhao Tianlong would say. Previously, she was curious as to why Shen Pan would bring Yang back to her maternal family. However, no one who liked the first branch was willing to talk about the reason. Now it seemed that there was a lot of fishy going on. Chapter 2459. Zhao Yin'er chuckled. "It's fine, eldest cousin. If it's a long story, then take your time. There's no rush anyway." Zhao Tianlong pursed his lips and explained with an unsightly expression. "Pan and I didn't divorce, I just married Miao Yin." As Zhao Tianlong spoke, he pointed at Princess Miao Yin and introduced her. "Your current eldest cousin-in-law is Princess Miao Yin. She has a noble status and was originally married to me. Naturally, I can't let her be a concubine. Thus I discussed it with Pan. In the future, Miao Yin will be the main wife and Pan will be the concubine." Hearing Zhao Tianlong's words, Zhao Yin'er looked at Zhao Tianlong with disdain. Her eldest cousin brother was truly a Chen Shimi. He could actually do such a thing. Although she didn't like Shen Pan, Zhao Tianlong's behavior made her loathe him even more. What kind of person was this? He had abandoned his first wife after he had made a name for himself. It was said that a wife who had gone through hardships should not be abandoned. No matter what, Shen Pan had married Zhao Tianlong when he was poor and had nothing. For Zhao Tianlong, she was willing to come to the countryside and suffer. Shen Pan's family wasn't bad. A girl like her could definitely marry into a good family. She wouldn't have to come to old Zhao's house and suffer grievances for so many years. However, Zhao Tianlong didn't seem to care about Shen Pan's sacrifice. Zhao Tianlong had just achieved success, and he had already done such a thing. As expected, men were all heartless. A person like Zhao Tianlong was willing to abandon his conscience for the sake of fame and fortune. As if he could see the contempt in Zhao Yin'er's eyes, Zhao Tianlong felt ashamed. "Eldest cousin brother, congratulations on your success in the capital. When will you bring Pan sister-in-law, an eldest uncle and aunt over to enjoy life in the capital?" Zhao Yin'er deliberately asked, wanting to see how Zhao Tianlong would answer. She wanted to see how disgusting his cousin was. Zhao Tianlong embarrassedly replied, That they're not used to living in the capital. After all, they're not familiar with the place. It's better to stay in Yang City. Fallen leaves return to their roots. When one gets old, they'll eventually return to their hometown. The sarcastic smile on Zhao Yun'er's lips deepened. He was indeed shameless. This reason was quite invincible. If she remembered correctly, before the first branch's family had arrived in the capital, they had been in high spirits. How could they not be used to it? He hadn't stayed in the capital for more than a few days, and for some reason he went back. Now that he thought about it, it should be Zhao Tianlong who had rushed back. After all, if Zhao Tianlong was willing to abandon his wife, it was not impossible for him to do other things. That second cousin, your eldest cousin, and I will go back first. Zhao Tianlong couldn't stand Zhao Yun'er's gaze. He felt extremely guilty and wanted to run away with his tail between his legs. Zhao Yun did not stop Zhao Tianlong. Instead, she nodded her head in response. After the banquet ended, Zhao Yun'er wanted to wait with Mu Lianfeng for Yi Li to leave together. However, because Yi Li was being pestered by Anil, Zhao Yun'er and Mu Lianfeng did not want to disturb him. They could only leave first. Anil stood in front of Yi Li and looked up to meet Yi Li's eyes. He questioned Yi Li. Why won't you look at me? We haven't met for so long and you already don't recognize me? Yi Li calmly replied, I don't recognize you. Anil's mouth twitched even more. He huffed. You don't recognize me? How can you not recognize me? Take a good look at me. Chapter 2460. This guy must be doing this on purpose. Anil refused to believe Yi Li's words. He clearly wanted to ignore her and distance himself from her, so he said this on purpose. Sob, sob, sob. This really hurt her heart. Anil felt so heartbroken that she found it hard to breathe. Why was it that for the past 6 months, she missed Yi Li every day, but Yi Li couldn't even be bothered to look at her? Did he hate her that much? She was clearly the eldest princess that everyone loved. So many people liked her and tried to curry favor with her. In order to marry her, many young masters from the noble families tried to curry favor with her. But she never gave those people a second glance. Now that she was with Yi Li, the roles had been reversed. This made her feel even more frustrated. Anil bit her lower lip and said angrily to Yi Li, I'm Anil. How can you be like this? It's only been 6 months, and you've already forgotten about me. Why are you looking for me? Yi Li's attitude was still cold as he asked impatiently. Anil replied with an aggrieved expression. Can't I look for you if I don't have anything to say? I have to go back. No. I'm stopping you. I won't let you go back. What are you trying to do? If you have something to say it quickly. Please don't waste my time. Yi Li urged. He wanted to go back with Zhao Yun'er and Mu Lianfeng, but with Anil blocking his way, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to make it back in time. Anil frowned and asked, Why did you reject my imperial brother's reward? Yi Li took a deep breath and pursed his lips. With a cold expression, he said, I've already said that I want to live an ordinary life and be an ordinary citizen. I don't want to get involved in the matters of the imperial court. Anil's eyes reddened and tears welled up in her eyes. She had never confessed to anyone before. Even though she knew that her true feelings would be trampled on by Yi Li, she still said, Then do you know that I like you? Yi Li glanced to the side, not really wanting to answer this question. Because he didn't have Anil in his heart. It didn't matter whether Anil liked him or not. Since Yi Li didn't say anything, Anlu said aggrievedly, Boo, you are so heartless. Can't you see that I like you? I am still the great Zhou country's eldest princess. Liking you is your honor. Why aren't you willing to accept it? Do you know that if you refuse my imperial brother's reward, I won't be able to marry you? Woo woo woo. The more Anil thought about it, the sadder he felt. This was the first time she had given her heart to a man, but she didn't get any response from him. Why is this so? She didn't think that there was anything wrong with her. Although she was a little willful, she was pretty good in other aspects. She was pretty, had a good figure, and was talented. There were many girls that couldn't compare to her. Not to mention how much Yi Li liked her. He didn't need to treat her like this, right? Yi Li's disgust towards her was written all over his face, making her doubt how bad she was. Yi Li's eyes sunk. Actually, he was also very surprised that Anil was a girl. After knowing young Master Huang's identity, he thought that Anil was just a prince. He never thought that she would be a girl, the Great Zhou country's eldest princess. But no matter what Anil's identity was, he didn't like her at all. Chapter 2461. You. Anil angrily pouted. She wanted to vent her anger, but she couldn't do it when faced with Yi Li's appearance. She really couldn't understand why he liked to say these things to anger her. She was a girl. And the high and mighty eldest princess. She finally put down her face and confessed to Yi Li, but Yi Li treated her like this. Anil tightly clenched her fists as she angrily looked at Yi Li. You're going too far. I just don't want the eldest princess to give her heart to the wrong person. There are many good men in the world, so you don't need to care about me. Yi Li replied. In the end, he was still a bit soft-hearted, so his tone was a bit softer this time. No matter what, Anil was a girl. A girl? Her pride was weaker than a boy's. If he hit her too hard, Anil would take it too hard. Anil raised her little face and said, But what if I like you? Although there are many men in the world, this princess likes you. Yi Li didn't know how to respond. Thinking about it, he could only kill Anil's fantasy at the source. I'm not interested in you. It's impossible for me to fall in love with another woman. I already have someone in my heart. Anil pursed her lips and said in an aggrieved voice, I know. You only have Miss Yunner in your heart. But she's already married, has a child, and is the heir consort. There's no chance of you and Miss Yunner. What's the point of thinking about her? Why don't you learn to let go and like another girl? I'm sorry, I can't do it. Yi Li took a deep breath and coldly replied, If the eldest princess doesn't have anything else, I'll be going back first. I need to rest early. You. Anlu couldn't continue to persuade Yi Li to stay. Even if he persuaded her to stay, he still suffered from Yi Li's cold words, which would only break his heart. Anil had no choice but to let Yi Li leave first. Farewell, eldest princess. Yi Li bowed respectfully, then strode away. His respect for her was a little distant. Anil sighed heavily. His chest felt like it had been cut by something. It was so painful that he couldn't breathe. Yi Li's figure finally disappeared into the night. Zhao Yun'er, Mu Lianfeng, and Yi Li stayed in the capital for another 2 or 3 days. Other than making arrangements for follow-up matters, when he had nothing to do, he would stroll around the streets of the capital. Zhao Yun'er gained a better understanding of some things in this era. In fact, ancient times were also very prosperous in some aspects. Although it didn't have the high-tech technology of the 21st century, many things were very small and exquisite. The craftsmanship was exquisite. Some things couldn't be made by modern people. There were many skills in culture that slowly disappeared with the development of time. Now that they were in ancient times, Zhao Yun'er saw many things. The capital was also the most prosperous place in the Great Zhou country, so she could see many things that Sun City didn't have. After spending 2 or 3 days to settle some things, Zhao Yun'er, Mu Lianfeng, and Yi Li returned to Shuilan village. They hadn't left for long, but there were many children at home. Mu Hin was also pregnant, so Zhao Yun'er was afraid that she wouldn't be able to handle it. She couldn't count on the men at home either. After all, there were many things that men didn't know how to do, and there were some things that men couldn't do well. Chapter 2462. As for Zhao Tianan, Zhao Yun remembered that the pot almost exploded. If she asked Zhao Tianan to cook, she was afraid that one day the kitchen would also be burned. She would be much more relieved when she went back. Before leaving, she also specially greeted Mulan and Qian Zhenhua, asking them to go to her house to help when she was not at home. Otherwise, how could Zhao Yun'er be at ease when she came to the capital for a few days like this? Fortunately, she didn't stay in the capital for long, otherwise she wouldn't know what to do. Yi Li went back to the village with them this time, and didn't plan to continue to live in Zhao Yun'er's house. Instead, he planned to get a piece of land next to Zhao Yun'er's house, just like Mulan's house, and then build a house. Having a house of his own would not be too troublesome, and would not disturb Zhao Yun'er's house. In this way, he could be neighbors with Zhao Yun'er and often take care of each other. Zhao Yun'er also agreed. Having a house of his own would always be more comfortable and free. Yili now had enough money and could live the rest of his life without worries. The money to build a house was not much. The land and the house cost at most 10 or 20 taels. It shouldn't cost much to add some furniture, and then buy other things. The most important thing was that living in the countryside for a lifetime probably wouldn't cost much. Yili's money was indeed enough for him to live a carefree life. In Shuilan village, although there were some weirdos in the village, overall, it was not safe. The carriage traveled for 2 days and finally arrived at Shuilan village. Yili saw some changes in the village and couldn't help but feel a little emotional. He had only been gone for a short time, and didn't expect these changes. It could be imagined that if he stayed a little longer, the changes would be even greater. As soon as Zhao Yun'er arrived home, several children in the family ran out of the house. Several adults in the family also came out. Zhao Yun'er was a little curious when she saw that her first and second uncles had actually come over. In fact, Zhao Yun'er didn't really like Liang Jinxiao's family. However, for the sake of Liang Jinxiao's reputation, it was not good to be too rude. It was already good enough to be polite on the surface. Zhao Yun'er was wearing the clothes she wore when she entered the palace. Her clothes and hairpin were very luxurious. As soon as she walked down, the women in her uncle's family immediately stared at her. Zhao Yun'er's delicate and pretty dress made her look a bit like a princess consort. Sigh. The two aunts and cousins looked at Zhao Yun'er with envy and jealousy. However, he quickly retracted the content in his eyes. When he saw Zhao Yun'er, he greeted her warmly. "Ah, Yun'er girl is back. TSK TSK TSK, the heir is also back." When he saw Yi Li, he realized that Yi Li didn't recognize him. He seemed to have seen him at Zhao Yun'er's house before, but he didn't pay much attention to him. Now that he saw Yi Li, he couldn't help but be curious about Yi Li's identity. As for Liang Xinzi and Liang Xinyue, their gazes fell on Yi Li for a moment. Mu Lianfeng was out of their league, and Yi Li was already married. If Yi Li was single, they still had a chance. Looking at Yi Li's appearance, it seemed that he was even better looking than Mu Lianfeng. Even if such a man didn't have any status, they were still happy to be with him based on his appearance. Chapter 2463. This was what it meant to be handsome. If she hadn't met Mu Lianfeng, Zhao Yun'er couldn't guarantee that she wouldn't fall in love with Yi Li. After all, this man was too outstanding. Whether it was in terms of appearance or personality, he was a rare good man. Of course, the most important thing was that he was infatuated, not promiscuous. If it was a normal good-looking man, he would probably be very promiscuous. Zhao Yun'er didn't bring a lot of things with her in the carriage. She had bought them in the capital over the past 2 days, and specially brought them back as gifts for her family. As for the things rewarded by the emperor, they would be escorted back to Yang City by specialized people. For the country people, the things that Zhao Yun'er brought back were already very good. Especially some of the pastries. Some of them were rewarded by the emperor. A box of pastries would probably cost a few taels, a dozen taels, or even a few dozen taels of silver. However, Zhao Yun'er had tasted them before, and felt that they tasted really good. They were much better than the pastries she bought before. There were also some fabrics, jewelry, and tonics. For example, Liang Jinxiao had just given birth and had bled a little during childbirth. She had to buy more things to replenish her blood and nourish her body. Zhao Yun'er bought a lot of red dates and longans from the capital. She was going to stew some longan and red date soup for Liang Jinxiao to drink. There were also some other small toys that the children liked more. The whole family gathered around Zhao Yun'er, and one after another they talked nonstop. Although eldest aunt and second aunt were a little jealous of Zhao Yun'er's good fortune, they were very tactful in this situation and kept praising Zhao Yun'er. They even praised Liang Jinxiao's good fortune to be able to give birth to such a capable daughter. Zhao Yun'er couldn't not take out some of the things that she brought back to entertain them. Thus, she chose a few and entertained the whole family to eat. For the country people who had never eaten pastries before, this was simply a rare thing. One by one, they couldn't wait to come over. Before they finished eating, they were already holding more in their hands. Delicious, delicious, too delicious. Yun'er, where did you get these pastries? Why is it so fragrant and delicious? Wu Zhenju asked with a smile. Seeing that there was only one piece left in the box, he quickly picked it up and stuffed it into his mouth. Zhao Yun'er's mouth twitched. You can't say that country people are uncultured just because they're discriminating against them. But sometimes it was true. The Liang family gave people the impression that they were very greedy. They didn't know how to be more reserved when eating pastries. It was as if they were all fighting to eat together, afraid that they would eat less than others. Fortunately, she had brought a lot of pastries. Zhao Yun'er could give them to her family later. Otherwise, her family probably wouldn't be able to eat more than a few pieces. In response to Wu Zhenju's question, Zhao Yun'er replied faintly, I didn't buy these pastries. Where did that come from? Yun'er, you didn't make it yourself, did you? No, this was a gift from His Majesty. If you were to buy this box of pastries, you definitely wouldn't be able to buy it without 20 taels of silver. Wu Zhenju's jaw almost dropped when he heard this. He was a little stunned and almost couldn't regain his senses. Everyone else was also shocked when they heard this. Zhao Yun'er took out a total of 3 boxes of pastries. This meant that they had eaten 60 taels of silver in one go. Wasn't this a little too terrifying? After all, 60 taels of silver was a huge sum of money to the country people. It was enough to feed their family for a long time. Chapter 2464. Wu Zhenju blinked his mouth and couldn't help but lament in his heart. Then Zhao Yun'er said, Yun'er lass, isn't this thing too expensive? The few of us ate 60 taels of silver in one go. If you had told us earlier, we probably wouldn't have eaten it. Sigh. How nice would it be if you gave us 60 taels of silver to take back and spend slowly? Although this pastry is delicious, it's still too extravagant. It's such a pity. Wu Zhenju looked distressed as he spoke. She wished she could spit out the pastry in her mouth and ask Zhao Yun'er to exchange it for silver, so that she could take it back and spend it slowly. Zhao Yun'er's mouth twitched. She just couldn't understand. How could some people be so shameless? They took advantage of the situation and still acted like they were innocent. Indeed, people's greed wasn't easy to satisfy. After giving a little, they wanted more. Seeing that Zhao Yun'er's expression didn't look too good, Wu Zhenju hurriedly shut his mouth. Guo Zixia smiled and said to Wu Zhenju, second sister-in-law, look at what you're saying. Yun'er was willing to give us such expensive things to eat, which means that she's a good person. Why are you still saying that Yun'er did something wrong? Wu Zhenju hurriedly replied, eldest sister-in-law, don't spout nonsense. When did I say that Yun'er did something wrong? I just feel that it's such a pity. How could he eat such a precious thing so quickly? It's better to let eldest sister's family eat it, and just give us something else to eat. There's no need to use such good things to entertain us. Liang Jinxiao smiled and mediated. It's fine. Let's eat it since we've eaten it. Anyway, it's something bestowed by the emperor. Everyone can have a taste if they eat it together. There's no way to sell it or exchange it for money. Us country bumpkins probably won't even spend 2 taels of silver to buy a box of pastry, let alone 20 taels of silver. Big sister is right. Guo Zixia smiled and agreed with Liang Jinxiao. The Liang family continued to eat. There weren't many pastries left, but after knowing the price, they didn't dare to eat more. Especially when she thought about eating such an expensive thing. Even if it wasn't bought with her own money, she still felt very distressed. Zhao Yun'er asked curiously, I wonder what eldest uncle, second uncle, eldest aunt and second aunt are doing this time? Usually, these people would not come to visit. Once they came, especially those who brought their families, Zhao Yun'er felt that something was wrong. She didn't know if the Liang family had found out that she wasn't at home and purposely came over, while she was away to take advantage of her. Her parents had soft personalities and were easy to talk to. Taking advantage of her absence, it was not impossible to obtain some benefits. Liang Jinshun smiled and said, Yun'er, we're here to see your grandmother. Oh right, didn't your mother give birth to a baby? Let's take a look at the baby while we're at it. We haven't seen the baby since he was born. As his uncle and aunt, we should come over and take a look. That's right. It's not easy for big sister to give birth at this age. We're a family, so we naturally have to come over and take a look. Liang Jinxiao looked very happy. After all, the Liang family and she were family. She liked to be cared for by her family. The baby and I are doing well. You don't have to worry about me. Mother is doing well here with me too. Her body is stronger than before, Liang Jinxiao said with a smile. That's right. Looking at mother's condition, I know that she's in good health. Big sister's family took good care of her. Chapter 2465. Liang Jinxiao laughed even more happily. However, Zhao Yin read something else behind this smile. The Liang family's smiles were too fake. They were flattering her too much. Sigh. Even if humans had developed for so many years, why were ancient and modern times the same? There were too many people who fawned over the rich and powerful. Once they had money, they would try their best to curry favor. Previously, when the third branch was poor, the Liang family's attitude was not like this. After a while, the Liang family finally revealed the true purpose of their visit amidst the joyous atmosphere. That, eldest sister, I heard that the pigs in your pigsty are raised well, Liang Jinhui said with a smile. Previously, when Liang Jinshan and Liang Jinhui helped Zhao Yun's family build a pigsty, they felt that Zhao Yun must have liked to mess around, so she built a pigsty. Where would an ordinary family get so much food to use? If they used the food they bought to raise so many pigs, it was actually not worth it. At least, from their point of view, they probably would not earn much money. When they first found out that Zhao Yun'er let Liang Jinyu and his wife raise pigs, they did not raise any objections. Who would have thought that Liang Jinyu and his wife would earn a lot of money from raising pigs so quickly? Now Zhao Yun'er's pigsty was on a larger scale. If this continued, how much money would they earn? Anyway, they were all relatives. Since his eldest sister's family was bringing Liang Jinyu and his wife to raise pigs to earn money, as uncles, they were closer than aunts. Naturally, they should also bring them to raise pigs. If they did not bring it up now when they earn more money, it would be harder to get involved, and they would lose a way to earn money for nothing. When Liang Jinhui said this, Liang Jinshan followed behind and said, Yes, eldest sister, I heard that your family raised pigs well and sold them for a lot of money. These pigs have always been taken care of by youngest sister and brother-in-law, right? It's fine that you raised dozens of pigs previously, but now you're raising even more. Can you handle it? Liang Jinxiao was stunned for a moment. Her big brother and second brother were actually talking about this. She could tell that something was wrong. After pausing for a few seconds, Liang Jinxiao pursed his lips and replied, Yes, big brother, second brother, little sister and brother-in-law are helping my family raise pigs. They are raising the second batch of pigs, and there are quite a lot of them. However, it's really busy now. I've already hired a few helpers from the village to take care of the pigsty with my younger sister and brother-in-law. So even though I'm very busy now, I can still manage. Upon hearing Liang Jinxiao's words, Liang Jinshan smiled and said, That, big sis, why did you ask an outsider for help? Wouldn't it be great if we, her brothers and sisters-in-law, came over to help? We're a family, and we haven't seen each other yet. Calling an outsider isn't as heart-to-heart as a busy family, don't you think so? Liang Jinhui also chuckled and said, That's right, big sister. Our Liang family has so many people. Why would we need to call for help from outsiders? The pigsty you built is big enough, so you can keep more pigs. We can all come over to help, expand the scale, and earn more money together. This. After listening for a long time, Liang Jinxiao finally understood what Liang Jinshan and Liang Jinhui meant. It turned out that they were here for this matter. Zhao Yun'er's lips curled into a sarcastic smile, mocking the Liang family for being too hypocritical. They said that they were here to visit old Madame Liang and her mother, but in fact they were here to discuss this matter. Chapter 2466. If they didn't take advantage of them, they might suffer hardships. The Liang family would probably hide as far away as possible, so why would they take the initiative to come to their door? Liang Jinxiao didn't know how to answer, so he could only smile awkwardly. However, Zhao Yun'er didn't give her two uncles any face and directly replied, Eldest uncle, second uncle, there's no need for so many people to raise pigs. Youngest aunt and uncle's husband can do it. As for the outsiders you mentioned, they're just invited to help take care of the pigsty and feed the pigs. They'll be paid 20 to 30 copper coins a day. If eldest uncle and second uncle are willing to do this kind of work and accept 20 to 30 copper coins a day, then you can come to my house to help. After listening to Zhao Yun'er's words, Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui's faces were full of awkwardness. They didn't mean to come over to help. Who would care about a few dozen copper coins a day? Cleaning the pigsty was dirty and tiring, so they might as well earn more money as bricklayers. The purpose of their visit this time was to share the profits that Zhao Yun'er's family earned from raising pigs with them, just like how they split Liang Jinyu and his wife's. This way, they could earn a lot of money with every batch of pigs raised. Otherwise, with a salary of 20 to 30 copper coins a day, they wouldn't be able to earn much money after working hard for a year. Since Zhao Yun'er said so, if they didn't directly say that this trip was equivalent to a wasted effort, they could only thicken their faces and continue. Yun'er lass, we want to help raise pigs just like your youngest aunt and uncle's husband. When you earn money, bring us along to share the money. Your youngest aunt and uncle's husband are relatives, so we're even closer. You can't possibly lead them to get rich and leave us behind, right? After speaking to Zhao Yun'er, he said to Liang Jinxiao, eldest sister, we're older brothers. Your younger sister is just an outsider of the Liang family who married into another family. As the daughter of the Liang family, you must help your maternal family, right? Liang Jinxiao looked like he was in a difficult position. He lowered his head and said, Big brother, second brother, Yun'er was the one who built the pigsty. Yun'er is the one who makes all the decisions in our family. If Yun'er says it's okay, then it's okay. If Yun'er says no, as her mother, I can't force her. I hope big brother and second brother can understand. Only by pushing all the blame to Zhao Yun'er could Liang Jinxiao resolve the awkwardness. Liang Jinxiao knew that Zhao Yun'er had a lot of ideas and she definitely knew what to say. Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui could only look at Zhao Yun'er. Sigh, how could they be so unlucky to bump into Zhao Yun'er at home today? If Zhao Yun'er was not at home, and only Liang Jinxiao was around, this matter would definitely be much easier to discuss. Zhao Yun'er did not feel that it was inappropriate to refuse because of her relatives. Anyway, the Liang family was thick-skinned enough. Even if she rejected these people, she would not feel embarrassed. Thus she replied in a cold tone, Eldest uncle, second uncle, you also know that my family built a pigsty to raise pigs. Under the situation where we didn't know if we could make money, I didn't see you guys offering to help raise pigs. Now that you saw that raising pigs could make money, you kept running over to ask for help. Why should I bring you guys along? Some things are easier to manage when there are fewer people. If there are more people involved, the more chaotic it becomes. So let's forget about this matter. There's nothing much to say. Now that the pigsty is being managed by youngest aunt and youngest uncle, I'm quite relieved. Hearing Zhao Yun'er's words, the Liang family suddenly felt very angry. How could this be? She actually rejected them directly. Chapter 2467. Liang Jinshun was a little unwilling to give up. He continued to argue with Zhao Yun'er with a redneck. Yun'er girl, aren't you obviously biased? What's so good about your aunt and uncle? Do you have to bring them along to earn money? In the face of Liang Jinshuan's shameless questioning, Zhao Yun'er directly explained the reason. Since you're so curious, then I'll tell you. I let my aunt and uncle raise pigs. First of all, their family is richer than yours. Naturally, I should help them first. Second, my aunt and uncle are both down-to-earth and capable. They can take care of the pigs very well. They work hard every day without complaint. I don't need to supervise them. Third, I'm biased. I like them more. What can you do about it? Although the Liang family was very unhappy when they heard this, there was nothing they could do. They could only refute the second point that Zhao Yun'er said because they were also down-to-earth and hard-working. How could they refute the remaining 2 points? She had already said clearly that she was biased. No one could do anything about it. After this, the Liang family did not say much. Their faces were gloomy, and they were all in a bad mood. The atmosphere became a little gloomy for a while. Zhao Yun'er pursed her lips. She could not be bothered to pay attention to these people. Who was she showing her face to? Who would care? Anyway, she would not ask her family to come over to help if she was not busy with the pigsty for a few days. Some things were easier to discuss with outsiders. It was just that between relatives, if they really wanted to take advantage of you, you would not be able to say anything. In the face of benefits, kinship could become very thin. Zhao Yun did not want to be involved in anything else. It was almost lunchtime, and the family started to get busy with lunch. During this period of time, Mu Hin helped to cook Zhao Yun's family's meals. Although Mu Hin was pregnant, after Zhao Yun left, the others could not be busy in the kitchen. She took the initiative to take on some of the chores at home. As for the clothes at home, sometimes Qian Zhuzha and Mulan would come over to help wash them, and sometimes Zhao Tianem would do it. Now that Zhao Yun was back, Zhao Yun was afraid that Mu Hin's body couldn't do too much work, so she only let Mu Hin take care of the fire. She didn't let Mu Hin do any other work. Even though she was unhappy with the Liang family, Zhao Yun still made a lot of dishes for lunch. Sometimes, when the guests came, she had to keep up appearances. Moreover, the family had not eaten the food she cooked for several days. The children were clamoring for better food, so she naturally had to make a more sumptuous meal. The Liang family members could only remain silent after that. On the other hand, Zhao Yun's two cousins had their eyes fixed on Yi Li for a long time. The more he looked at Yi Li, the more handsome he felt. Wasn't this too cool? Not only did Yi Li have handsome features, but he also had a very strange and attractive aura about him. In addition, Yi Li was tall and big, so he looked like the kind of man who gave people a sense of security. Compared to those rough men in the countryside, Yi Li was definitely a man of the highest quality. Liang Xingyue saw that Liang Xinzi was also staring at Yi Li. She was a little unhappy and said angrily, "What are you looking at? Don't tell me you also like him?" Liang Xinzi replied calmly, "What's wrong? Can't I?" Shameless. Liang Xingyue pursed her lips and said to Liang Xinzi. Chapter 2468. Cousin, you're so average looking. He's so pretty, so he definitely won't take a fancy to you, so don't even think about it. You're not as pretty as me, so you still have a chance. Liang Xingyue mocked as she glanced at Liang Xinzi in disdain. Liang Xinzi clenched her fists. She was extremely angry. This cousin of hers was going a little too far. She was always talking about her appearance. Wasn't she just relying on the fact that she was slightly prettier than her? What was the big deal? Liang Xinzi became extremely angry when she saw how smug Liang Xingyue was and how ignorant she was. Cousin, don't you already have a man you like? You've already fallen in love with someone else? Liang Xinzi was referring to Mo Yan. Liang Xingyue had indeed taken a fancy to Mo Yan back then. However, Liang Xingyue had not seen Mo Yan for a very long time. Even if she missed Mo Yan, she knew that she would never have the chance. Since that was the case, what could she do? She could only give up on this idea. After seeing Yi Li today, Liang Xingyue felt that Yi Li was no worse than Mo Yan. If she could be with Yi Li, it would be a very good choice. She did not need to talk about falling in love with someone else. Being able to successfully be with someone was the most important thing. Currently, Liang Xingyue had seen Yi Li and had the opportunity to come into contact with him, so it was still possible. Liang Xingyue replied angrily in response to Liang Xinzi's mockery. "What's it to you? You're such a busybody." Hehe. Liang Xinzi sneered as well. She did not care. If a man like Yi Li could fall in love with Liang Xingyue, he would definitely be blind. Seeing that there was not much firewood left in the kitchen, Yi Li said to Zhao Yuner, I'll go to the back and get some firewood. He would get some firewood first. He still had to go into the mountains later to get more firewood. During this time, the men in the family were busy working in the fields. At this time of the year, they were basically planting seedlings. Zhao Yun's family had planted a little more food this year, so the men didn't have time to go to the mountains to collect firewood. That was why he didn't notice that he was running out of firewood at home. "All right, sorry to trouble you," Zhao Yun replied with a smile. "It's fine." Yi Li was in a very good mood. He never felt tired when he helped out. On the contrary, he was very happy, because being able to make a contribution to Zhao Yun, being able to help relieve Zhao Yun of a burden, to him, was a kind of happiness. Now he was not greedy for Zhao Yun to be with him. He only hoped that he could do more for this woman. Seeing her happy and blissful made him happy too. Seeing that Yi Li was heading to the back, Liang Xinyue's heart skipped a beat. She felt that this was a good opportunity, so she quickly got up and eagerly followed Yi Li. I'll go help with the firewood too. Yi Li glanced at Liang Xinyue indifferently. Because Liang Xinyue was Zhao Yun'er's cousin, he couldn't say anything overboard. Actually, he had already felt Liang Xinyue staring at him just now. He was very disgusted and uncomfortable to be stared at like that. Now that Liang Xinyue was eagerly approaching him, how could he not understand what Liang Xinyue was thinking? So he rejected her. No need. I can go alone. Liang Xinyue persisted. I'll help. There's strength in numbers. It's easier to get things done. Liang Xinyue's expression turned even uglier. Her face was as red as a monkey's butt. Anil continued to stab her with another sentence. You're still making a fool of yourself when you look like this. Which man would fancy a woman like you? Unless he's blind, that's more likely. Liang Xinyue touched her face. She was starting to doubt her life. In her opinion, she was not bad-looking. Why was it that in the eyes of these good-looking and rich men, they would not fancy her? She was not ugly. In any case, she was still considered a flower in the village. Chapter 2470. Liang Xinzi laughed even louder. Seeing Liang Xinyue being humiliated made her feel even better. Liang Xinyue could no longer face Yi Li and Anil shamelessly. She ran back into the house in shame. Yi Li's mouth twitched. Then he turned around to continue preparing the firewood. Anil quickly caught up with Yi Li and shouted, Yi Li, wait for me. Yi Li did not stop walking. Instead, he replied calmly, Don't follow me. Anil pouted stubbornly, No. I want to follow you. Yes. Faced with such a stubborn Anil, Yi Li could only keep quiet and continue walking. When Anil saw that Yi Li was ignoring her, she became a little anxious. She felt very upset that he was not talking to her. Anil angrily blocked Yi Li's way and said pitifully, Yi Li, why are you acting like you're keeping me at arm's length? Do you really hate me that much? Don't you care about me at all? We don't know each other well. Yi Li said calmly. Because they didn't know each other well, they couldn't even be considered friends. Friends might care about each other. Only strangers would be treated with complete disregard. After hearing Yi Li's words, Anil felt like a needle had pierced her heart. She didn't understand why Yi Li had to say such hurtful words. Anil tried hard to calm the pain in her heart. She pursed her lips and stared at Yi Li with her gem-like eyes. She smiled and chuckled. Yi Li, why don't you ask me why I'm here again? Aren't you even a little bit curious? Yi Li was silent for a moment. He did have some doubts in his heart, but he didn't want to ask. He roughly knew why Anil was here. She was definitely here for him. But how could a high and mighty princess like Anil escape from the palace and run to Shuilan village? He didn't know the details. Of course, he didn't want to know either. Because he didn't want to have anything to do with Anil. He naturally didn't want to care about her or understand her too much. Anil endured the pain in her heart and said, Yi Li, I'm doing this for you. I like you too much. That's why I want to follow you wherever you go. You rejected my brother's reward. Mother didn't agree to me marrying you, so I could only run away. Even if I knew that I had given up everything just to be with you, you would still reject me. I still ran out. As long as I can see you every day, it doesn't matter if we aren't together. Protecting you is actually a kind of happiness. Anil felt like she had been possessed. She was the great Zhou country's princess and had seen many outstanding men, but she was still captivated by Yi Li. She even threw away her pride and said these words to Yi Li. Anil didn't dare believe that she said these words. After all, she was once a high and mighty little princess. She was used to being arrogant, but one day she lowered her head for a man, lowering herself to this extent. Yi Li heard Anil's words and his heart felt uncomfortable. He never thought that Anil's feelings for him would be this deep. But he didn't have any feelings for Anil. Chapter 2471. Yi Li softly said, I thank the eldest princess for her love, but I hope that the eldest princess won't waste time on me. Sometimes, the more you put in, the more disappointed you would be when you didn't receive anything in return. Yili didn't think he was a bad person, so he didn't hate Anil that much right now. So he didn't want Anil to waste time on him and be hurt, which would lead to a terrifying ending. Anil rubbed her nose and willfully said, "No, I just want to stick to you. Even if you don't like me, I still want to stick to you. Whether it's a waste of time or not, that's up to me. Yili, let me tell you, the things this princess likes will definitely be obtained. The man I like will be chased down one day. Just you wait." Anil's face was filled with determination. Anyway, she had set her mind on Yi Li in this life. She didn't like other men and didn't like them at all. Rather than this, it was better to keep guarding Yi Li. As long as she persevered, perhaps there would be hope. It wasn't easy for her to leave the palace this time. According to her mother's intentions, Yi Li didn't know how to appreciate kindness, so she didn't need to think about this man. She was even afraid that she would run away, so she arranged for people to watch her. She could only stay in her own palace and couldn't move around as she pleased. It was because of her royal brother's arrangements that she had the chance to come out, rushing all the way to Water Mist Village. According to her royal brother's intentions, if she could chase down Yi Li and make Yi Li willing to return to the court as an official, he would agree to them being together. After all, the emperor didn't want to waste a talent like Yi Li, and hoped that Yi Li could continue to serve the court. But the emperor knew that forcefully picked melons weren't sweet. Yi Li didn't care about the court, and just wanted to be a normal person, living a normal life. If he didn't agree and insisted on letting Yi Li continue to serve in the court, Yi Li wouldn't do his best to help him like before. He only kept the person, but he didn't keep the heart. But if Yi Li was pursued by Anil and truly liked Anil, he would be the great Zhou country's prince consort in the future. With this relationship, it was only natural that Yi Li would work for the emperor and the imperial court. If it weren't for the fact that the emperor appreciated Yi Li's talent, he wouldn't have made such a decision. After Anil left the palace, he eagerly followed her. It wasn't easy for her to get the emperor's permission, so how could she be willing to give it up? Yi Li frowned slightly. He didn't know what to say. She could only stop talking and let Anil go. How could his heart be so easily occupied by another woman? Back then, Zhao Yun'er was able to enter his heart when he was at his most helpless. At that time, Zhao Yun'er was like a warm light that shined into his heart, allowing him to feel warmth. After picking up the firewood, Yi Li carried it into Zhao Yun'er's kitchen. Anil also picked up some branches behind him. Zhao Yun'er finally saw Anil. Eldest princess. Why are you also here? Zhao Yun'er asked in a surprised voice. Because she was in a rush last time in the capital, she didn't have time to meet with Anil. She never thought that Anil would follow them back to Water Mist Village today. Anil awkwardly scratched her head. Miss Yun'er, you know my identity? I also went to the banquet that day, so naturally I know. I thought you were a prince before, but I never thought you would be a princess. Chapter 2472. Anil felt even more embarrassed. She lowered her head and said shyly, Miss Yun'er, I didn't mean to hide it from you. It's just that sometimes it's safer for a girl to dress up as a man when she's outside. Zhao Yun'er nodded in agreement. Princess Royal is right. It's a good thing for a girl to dress up as a man when she's outside. After all, not everyone in this world is a good person. Once you meet a bad person or something terrible happens, it'll be too late to regret it. Hearing Zhao Yun'er's words, Anli's mood became a lot better. Miss Yun, I thought you would blame me for hiding this matter from you. You actually didn't care about it with me. You are really a good person. Zhao Yun'er was amused by Anil's cute appearance. Why would I be angry? It's not a big deal. It's fine as long as you didn't do anything to hurt anyone. Anil grinned as if she was very happy. Zhao Yun'er had a good impression of Anil. This girl had been well protected since she was young. She had a pure mind, and was much better than those scheming young ladies. She got along well with this kind of person. Princess Royal still hasn't told me why you came to my house again? Anil froze and then smiled embarrassedly. Miss Yun'er, do you think I'm too troublesome and don't want me to come over? I'll pay for your room and food this time. Also, if you have any work to do, feel free to ask me. I won't trouble you too much. Zhao Yuner quickly waved her hand. No, no, no. That's not what I meant. I'm just curious. Miss Yuner, I don't need to be embarrassed in front of you. Actually, I like Yi Li and want to be with him. It would be best if he could accept me. Even if he doesn't, I'll be happy as long as I can see him every day. Annel said shyly as her cheeks turned red. Zhao Yuner patted her head. She was so stupid. She was obviously here for Yi Li. Did she even need to ask? Haha, then stay here. Yi Li is such a tall and handsome man. He is indeed very likable. The eldest princess really has good taste to be able to take a fancy to him. Annel smiled shyly. Right. Miss Yuner thinks he's not bad. Yes. You look so good together with the eldest princess. You're a perfect match, a match made in heaven. Hearing Zhao Yuner's words, Annel felt comfortable all over. Originally, Yi Li liked Zhao Yuner, so Zhao Yuner was her love rival. But towards this love rival, Annel couldn't bring up any hostility. Instead, she liked her very much. When she lived with the third branch, Zhao Yuner and her family didn't know her identity. Instead, they took good care of her. They were all very good people. Of course she liked Zhao Yuner and Zhao Yuner's family. AI. It's a pity that Yi Li doesn't like me. He seems to hate me a bit. Thinking of this, Li's originally high spirits were dampened. His face drooped, as if he was very sad. Zhao Yuner patted Annel's shoulder and comforted her. Don't worry. There's a mountain between a man chasing a woman and a woman chasing a man. As long as the eldest princess works hard, I think there's a big chance. Chapter 2473. Hearing Zhao Yuner's words, Annel's face was filled with disappointment again. Annel gave a heavy sigh and silently complained. I've clearly been with Yi Li for a while. Why isn't Yi Li familiar with me? He's not slow at all. Or is Yi Li purposely ignoring me? He's just not familiar with me. Annel felt more and more hurt the more she spoke. If Yi Li was purposely distancing himself from her and ignoring her, then the situation would be more serious. It meant that Yi Li didn't want to interact with her. Zhao Yuner gave an awkward cough and comforted her. That eldest princess, Yi Li ignored you because he thought you were a man. You also know. It's strange for men to be too intimate with each other. You were too passionate back then. He knows you like him. But he's a normal man. How could he accept being with you? Now he knows you're a woman. The grudge in his heart can't be let go for now, but it will slowly disappear. Don't be anxious. I believe that as long as you stay with him and move him, there will be a day when his heart will soften. Annel finally understood why Yi Li was so against her. So it was because of this matter. He thought she was a man before, so he rejected her. For people who weren't into men, they rejected homosexuals. But why was he still so cold towards her now? It should be because his attitude from before hadn't changed, and he still had a grudge against her. But like Zhao Yuner said, she had to wait a bit longer. As time passed, the barrier between her and Yi Li would slowly disappear, and perhaps Yi Li would accept her. Comforting herself like this, Annel's heart was filled with hope. If she wanted to be with Yi Li, then she had to be firm and walk down this path. She was the great Zhou country's eldest princess. She had never easily given up on anything. Annel gave a strong nod and said to Zhao Yuner, I understand. Miss Yuner, thank you. I will definitely persevere. Zhao Yuner's words had a large effect on her morale, so she felt much better now. Good luck. Zhao Yuner cheered Annel on again. If such a cute and pure girl was with Yi Li, it would be a very good choice. Zhao Yuner couldn't help feeling a bit of expectation, because she knew that there was no chance of being with Yi Li in this life. However, as a friend, Zhao Yuner didn't want Yi Li to be alone for the rest of his life. She hoped that there would be a kind and a cute girl by his side. At the very least, two people could accompany each other and support each other. It was better than one person being all alone. Among the girls she came in contact with, Annel was considered a very good girl. It wasn't because of anything else. She just purely liked Yi Li and wanted to be with him. After eating lunch, Zhao Yuner sent the Liang family back. The following days were very peaceful. Mu Lianfeng and Yi Li were both back, so Zhao Yun'er didn't need to worry about their safety at the border. Adding in the fact that everything was on the right track, the days were very peaceful and there was still hope. Mu Lianfeng had made a great contribution to the court and the emperor had given him many tasks, but he had rejected them all. Chapter 2474. Happy days always pass so quickly. Unknowingly, time passed by very quickly. Tiantian's steps became more and more stable. The little girl seemed to like Mu Lianfeng very much. She clung to Mu Lianfeng every day. However, this little girl was very smart. Although she was not very old, she could say some simple words. The 2 words "daddy" came out of her mouth. Her childish voice was very playful and cute. Daodu was not as playful as before. Under Mu Lianfeng's guidance, he learned to read and recognize words every day with Zhao Tianfu. Half a day was used to study, and the other half was used to play. Although Mu Lianfeng was a little strict with Daodu, Zhao Yun'er knew that this was for Daodu's good. Children could play, but they could not neglect their studies because of this. It was a good thing to learn more from a young age. When they grew up, their ability to accept things would not be as good as when they were young. Although they did not expect to be successful and pass the imperial examinations, they could understand more by reading more. Children should learn more useful things. Many of the villagers in the village were uncouth and rude. Most of the time, they did not study much and were uncultured. Some things could not be understood. When one's vision was limited, there were many things that one couldn't see clearly. Daodu and Zhao Tianfu were considered smart children. When it came to learning, Mu Lianfeng was very easy to understand, and they could recognize more and more words. Originally, Zhao Yun'er wanted the 2 children to go to school to learn, but there was no school in the village. It would be more troublesome to send the children there. So she let Mu Lianfeng come over to teach. Anyway, Mu Lianfeng did not have any major matters to deal with in the village every day. He was basically very free. Mu Lianfeng could be considered to be well-read. He was even better than the teachers in the school. It was more than enough to teach the children. Mu Lan's children had also reached the age of learning. They would come over to listen to the lessons with Daodu and Zhao Tianfu. They could more or less learn something. Even Zhao Tianen was willing to follow behind Mu Lianfeng and learn a few words when he was not busy with farm work. Previously, because old Zhao's family was too poor, not all of the children in the family could go to school. Zhao Tianen had also thought of studying. Just like Zhao Tianlong, he relied on studying to make a name for himself. Unfortunately, his family did not have the money. Even if he had this thought, he would not voice it out. Now that he was old, he had long missed the opportunity to learn. He could only give up on the idea of becoming outstanding through studying. However, this didn't stop him from wanting to recognize a few more words. Over at Yi Li's place, preparations for the new house were also underway. He still had a lot of money in his hands. It was more than enough to build a house. The fields in the village were relatively easy to purchase. Yi Li spent less than 2 taels of silver to buy a foundation next to her house. Because Yi Li did not have much experience in building a house, the matter of building a house was entrusted to Zhao Yun'er's family. The bricklayers and workers that Zhao Yun'er's family had hired to build the house were quickly found. This time, Yi Li did not ask for a big house. 3 or 4 rooms were enough. A few houses were built in 20 days. With the help of Zhao Yun'er and her family, they also built a fenced courtyard for Yi Li. The courtyard was left at the foot of the mountain. It looked very quiet and beautiful against the forest. Chapter 2475. Yi Li looked at his new home. It wasn't very big, but it was very cozy. For Yi Li, the bigger the house, the better. The most important thing was that it was cozy and comfortable. A long time ago, he lived in a big house. The whole villa was very big, but he didn't like it. When he came back, he lived in Zhao Yun'er's small thatched cottage for a few days. Even in such a simple condition, he was still very happy to live there. Now his house was next door to Zhao Yun'er's house. He could see Zhao Yun'er every day in the future. It was naturally a happy thing to be neighbors with Zhao Yun'er. He didn't have to be with the girl he liked. It was actually a good choice to stay by her side for the rest of his life. When the house was just built, Anil stood in front of it and said happily, This new house is so beautiful. It's small and exquisite. The most important thing is that I can live with Yili alone in the future. At that time, the two of them could live together in the same room. Perhaps there would be sparks of love between them. She had been living in Zhao Yun's house these days. Although Zhao Yun's house was quite big, it was crowded because there were too many people living in it. There were so many people around, and she wasn't shameless enough to sneak into Yili's room. However, it was different if she lived in Yili's new house. No matter how loud she made at night, Zhao Yun's family wouldn't hear it. Yili stood not far from Anil. Hearing what Anil said, the corners of his mouth twitched. He was a little displeased. This is my house. It has nothing to do with you. Anil frowned at first, then forced a smile. She said shamelessly, Yili, you can't say that. I put in a lot of effort when building this house. With my contribution, it naturally has something to do with me. He didn't seem to have asked her for help. He had even stopped her before. This woman really had the nerve to say that. Anil continued with a grin. Yili, the new house is ready. Can we move in soon? Yili glanced at Anil unhappily. It's not just the two of us, it's just me. After being rejected so directly by Yili, Anil felt a little upset, but he continued shamelessly. Yili, you must be lonely living in a room by yourself. Let me stay with you. No need. Yili coldly rejected again. There were only him and Anil living in the same room. Who knew if this shameless woman was plotting something against him? Moreover, it was indeed not suitable for a man and a woman to be alone. If any rumors were to spread, it would be fine for him, but it would not be good for a girl. What if Anil claimed that her reputation was ruined, and she couldn't get married? What could he do then? After thinking for a while, he decided that it was the best choice not to give Anil a chance to move in from the beginning. Yili, look at me. I'm an outsider after all. I've been staying in Yun's house for a long time. If I continue to stay here, I will feel embarrassed. Chapter 2476. Yili looked at Anil speechlessly. What was in her head? Why did she have so many excuses? Besides, he had clearly refused her several times, but Anil still said it shamelessly. For a girl to be so thick-skinned to this extent, it was really a bit amazing. Seeing that Yili was sullen and didn't say anything, Anil smiled and said, then it's decided happily. Then he ran away, so that Yili didn't even have a chance to refuse again. Yili built a new house this time, so Zhao Yun held a simple banquet. She didn't invite too many people, only old Zhao's family, and a few more prestigious people in the village. Because Yili built a house in Shuilan village, it was equivalent to settling down in Shuilan village in the future. His family moved to Shuilan village, so he could be counted as a villager. There were still decades to come, so they had to build a good relationship with their neighbors. Therefore, Li Zheng and other prestigious people in the village had to be invited to the banquet. The banquet was simple. Only 2 tables were set up, and some good dishes were prepared. It wasn't troublesome. It just so happened that old Zhao's family gathered together to have another meal. Now the other branches of old Zhao's family were living a better life. Zhao Wenshui and Zhao Wentao also started to follow Liang Jinyu and her husband to raise pigs and expand the scale of their pig farm. The pig farm raised more pigs, so they earned more money. In this way, even if they didn't get a share, they would still get a lot of money. Zhao Wenshui and Zhao Wentao both planned to buy a piece of land next to Zhao Yun's house and build a few brick houses. They would directly become neighbors with Zhao Yun. Old Zhao's house was too dilapidated after all. It was built with yellow mud, so it was easy to leak when it rained. Most importantly, the house was very low, so the light was not very good and it was full of a moldy smell. This brick house was different. It was much more spacious and bright. In the past, there was nothing he could do about it because he didn't have the money. Now that he was getting richer and had saved up some money, he would think about these other things. It didn't cost much to build a small house. As for Liang Jinyu and her husband, they felt that raising pigs would be a long-term job in the future. They estimated that they could raise them for the rest of their lives. The two of them had to stay in Shuilan village, but the children at home could not follow them. She decided to settle down in Shuilan village. Once she had a house, She could bring her children to live with her. It would save her the trouble of not being able to take good care of her children at home. When they arrived at Shuilan village, they would be able to take care of each other. When the children had nothing to do, they would come to the pigsty to help out, such as gathering pigweed. At the banquet in Yi Li's bridal chamber, old Zhao's family was in a very good mood. They drank a lot together and chatted happily. Zhao Yun listened carefully from the side, and felt that it was somewhat interesting. Since she had just transmigrated, these people had changed a lot. Looking at the passage of time, something seemed to have happened yesterday. God had let her experience a lot in this era. Fortunately, some of the people and things around her were developing in a good direction. Zhao Wenshui, who was a disgusting person in the past, had turned over a new leaf. With Zhao Wenshui's current conditions, although he couldn't continue to be with Li Chuiying, it wasn't difficult for him to marry another wife. Liang Jinqiao and Qian Zhenhua both asked the people in their family to help them find suitable women in their family's village. Chapter 2477. If he could find her, Zhao Wenshui would be able to marry another wife. At least he would have someone to accompany him for the rest of his life. After all, Zhao Wenshui was still young. If he had to spend the rest of his life on his own, he would be too lonely during the new year. It was already tough for a man to work outside. He wanted a virtuous wife to help him tidy up the house when he returned home. He didn't have to do anything big. She could cook, do the laundry, and chat with him. If it was in the past, no one would be willing to help him arrange a marriage with Zhao Wenshui. Any woman who married Zhao Wenshui would be a disaster. However, it was different now. Whoever married Zhao Wenshui was a very good choice. After the banquet was over, the people at the tables dispersed. In less than 2 days, Yi Li's custom-made furniture was delivered from Yang City. He finally moved out of Zhao Yun'er's house. Anna was very busy. Moving into Yi Li's new house today meant that she would be staying alone with Yi Li at night. It was an exciting thing. Yi Li's face darkened when he saw Anna moving things. He wanted to stop Anna. However, when he thought about how thick-skinned Anna was, he knew it was useless to say anything. This woman would definitely think of all sorts of ways to stay. He might as well let her be. Anyway, he just had to ignore her. What Yi Li didn't understand was why Anna still didn't give up after being scolded by him like this. Any girl who had a sense of shame would definitely be embarrassed. However, Anna was an exception. Logically speaking, Anna was the eldest princess. The royal family's etiquette and rules were more particular than ordinary people's. A princess's temper should be more reserved. However, Anna was completely different. Anna and Yi Li didn't have a lot of things, so they packed quickly. There were only a few sets of clothes. Previously, Zhao Yun'er had gone to Yang City to help buy some quilts. When they were moving things, she also helped to move them to Yi Li's new house. She had gone to Yang City to pick out some other furniture for the past few days. Therefore, Yi Li's house was basically not lacking in things. He had everything that he needed to buy and use. Anil grinned as he walked up to Yi Li and said to Yi Li, although this house is a little small, it's still very cozy with just the two of us living here. Yi Li's mouth twitched. If you think it's too small, you can go back to the palace. The palace's rooms are big. My small temple can't accommodate a big Buddha like you. Anlu pursed her lips. But this princess just likes this little temple of yours. Not only do we have to stay here for a while, we have to stay here for a lifetime. Yi Li didn't know what to say about Anil. Stay here for a lifetime? A high and mighty eldest princess. Even if he didn't chase her away, the people in the palace wouldn't allow it. Yi Li estimated that Anil would be taken back in a few days. He just had to bear with it for now. He just had to bear with it for a while. So he calmly replied to Luan, "Up to you." Haha, Yi Li, are you willing to let me stay here for the rest of my life? Does that mean you've accepted me in your heart? You like me a little bit? Anil's face inched closer to Yi Li, scaring Yi Li so much that he quickly took a few steps back. Yi Li's expression darkened as he speechlessly replied, "You shameless woman. What can I do if you insist on staying here? But that doesn't mean I accept you or like you. Besides being shameless, why do you like to flatter yourself? I really don't know how to be a girl." Chapter 2478. Anna was not disappointed by Yi Li's words. Although Yi Li didn't say anything to her, compared to before, Yi Li went from rejecting her and chasing her away to being willing to let her stay for the rest of her life. To a certain extent, this showed that Yi Li was slowly accepting her. She was getting closer and closer to success. She firmly believed that Yi Li would truly accept her one day. Anna gave a soft snort. You said it yourself, then I'll stay here for the rest of my life. I'll always bother you. Anyway, with me here, don't think about interacting with other women. If you don't marry me in this life and don't stay with me, then you'll be a bachelor for the rest of your life. Yi Li's face sunk. He didn't want to waste words with Anna, so he went into the room to pack his things. The new blankets had to be placed on the bed. He didn't have a wife, so this job fell on his head. Although Zhao Yun'er's women offered to help, they were rejected by Yi Li. He already troubled them enough, so he didn't want to add any more trouble. Although he was a man, he had hands and feet, so he could still do this kind of work. After a while, Yi Li neatly folded his blankets. In Anna's room, the blankets on the bed were a mess. During the time she was at Zhao Yun'er's home, it was always Zhao Yun'er's family helping her clean up. She wanted to clean it herself, but the bed was still a mess even after she cleaned it up, so she might as well not clean it up. As the eldest princess of the great Zhou country, she normally had servants to take care of her. These things were all done by the maids and she had never interfered before. Adding in the fact that she was weak, she couldn't even learn how to do simple things. Seeing Yi Li's bed, Anna called out in pleasant surprise. Why, Yi Li, aren't you a bit too powerful? How could you make the bed this neat? Yi Li was startled by Anna's yelling. He thought something bad had happened, but he didn't expect that it was just because he had made the bed too neatly. Can you not make a fuss over nothing? Yi Li reminded Anna unwillingly. Yi Li, how am I making a fuss over nothing? You're the one who's really amazing. You're a grown man, yet you can make the bed so neat. You're really amazing. Unlike me, it's a mess like a dog's nest. You're a girl and you don't even know how to make a bed. You still have the nerve to say that you'll pour it out? Don't you think this is an honor? Yi Li looked at Anna speechlessly. Just because she was the eldest princess, she didn't act like a girl? This woman was definitely spoiled. Some things weren't too difficult, and could be learned with just a little learning. However, she was so stupid that she couldn't learn even a little. Anna gave a laugh. She wasn't angry and said, Yi Li, how am I embarrassed? I just want to use my lack of knowledge to show off how amazing you are. Really, I'm worshipping you more and more. The man that Anna fancy is different. Anna, look at me. I can't make my bed no matter what. You made it so neat. How about you help me make my bed too? Anna looked at Yi Li with a pleading look. If Yi Li could help her make her bed, she would be able to sleep on Yi Li's blanket at night. That would be a very happy thing. Chapter 2479. I know. Of course, you have no obligation to help me. I don't see you as a servant either. I'm just asking for your help. Can you do me a favor and help me make the bed? Otherwise, I'll have to sleep on this doghouse bed tonight. Anna said with a pleading look in her eyes. Yi Li didn't even look at Anna before rejecting her. Do your own thing. Anna sighed. All right. If you don't want to, then forget it. I'm going to look for Miss Yun'er now. I can only ask Miss Yun'er to help me make the bed. Anna was about to walk out of the door as she spoke. She knew that Yi Li was still thinking about Zhao Yun'er. If she used Zhao Yun'er's incident as an excuse, Yi Li would definitely agree. As expected, before Anna could walk out of the room, Yi Li hurriedly called out to Anna. Wait a minute. Anna turned around with a grin and asked, What's the matter? I'll help you make the bed. You don't have to trouble Yun'er anymore. Yi Li's heart ached for Zhao Yun'er. He knew that Zhao Yun'er was very busy every day. She also had to take care of 2 children. She was already very busy and tired. She didn't want to trouble Zhao Yun'er with such a small matter. That was why he stopped Anna. He could do this small matter and save Zhao Yun'er the trouble of coming over again. Anna got what she wanted. She pretended to be unhappy and said, All right then. Since you said so, I won't trouble Miss Yun'er anymore. Yi Li, hurry up and help me make the bed. Okay. Yili responded calmly. Then he walked into Annel's room and started to tidy up the bedding on the bed. Annel stood by the side, resting his chin on his hand as he admired the way Yili worked. His gaze was focused and serious, and his body revealed an extremely charming temperament. Annel became more and more obsessed. Why was Yili so good-looking? She had seen many handsome young masters in the capital, but it was rare to see someone as charming as Yili Sai. It was a pity that Yili didn't like her. Otherwise, she would be so happy to be with such a man. Yili was very busy. It didn't take long for him to make Annel's bed. Done. Yili said calmly. Annel couldn't wait to sleep on the bed that Yili had made for her. In a moment of excitement, Annel rushed towards the bed and accidentally tripped. Together with Yili, he fell onto the bed. The two of them were suddenly pressed against each other and had intimate contact. Annel's lips accidentally brushed against Yili's face. It was the first time their faces were so close. They could even smell each other's breath. Annel's heart was thumping wildly. She couldn't stop blinking as she stared at Yili. Oh my God! Was she dreaming? She actually pressed down on Yili? She couldn't believe it. She felt like she was in a dream. Under normal circumstances, Annel wouldn't dare to act so intimately with Yili. Yili would definitely kill her. Today, it was a freak combination of factors that made him fall on Yili by accident. Yili was also caught off guard by this accident. The two soft lumps on Annel's chest gave him a very strange feeling. Annel was very close to him. He could even smell the faint feminine scent coming from Annel's body. It was also Yili's first time being so intimate with a girl. His ears immediately turned red and his neck turned red. Chapter 2480. Oh. Annel froze for a few seconds before she came to her senses and got off Yili's body. Just like Yili, Annel's face was flushed red. Although she was usually a little thick-skinned, she was still a girl after all. When it came to this kind of thing, she couldn't help but feel a little shy. Especially when she was facing the man she liked the most. The two of them were so intimate for the first time. It was as if they had done something shameful. The bed isn't good anymore. If there's nothing else, don't disturb me, Yili said and hurriedly left Annel's room. Annel sat on the bed and couldn't help but pat her cheeks. It hurt a little. This meant that she wasn't dreaming. Oh my God. Everything that happened just now was real. She really pinned Yili down. After the shyness, Annel's heart was filled with endless excitement and excitement. It was as if she had done something very happy and worth celebrating. Yili, on the other hand, wanted to escape as quickly as possible. He wanted to get as far away from Annel as possible. Damn it. Why did he feel that the faint feminine scent on Annel's body was very pleasant for a moment just now? On the other hand, after Zhao Yuner helped Yili and Annel move their things, she brought the two children to play in the courtyard. Zhao Yuner made a small ball and had Tian Tian throw it. She trained little Hei to pick it up. Every time little Hei picked up the ball that Tian Tian threw, Tian Tian would giggle happily. She had to admit that little Hei was very smart. When Zhao Yuner said something, little Hei understood and did as she instructed. After playing for a while, Zhao Yuner suddenly felt a little stuffy in her chest. She felt like vomiting. Ugh, Zhao Yuner covered her chest and couldn't help but retch. Mu Lianfeng saw this and quickly went forward to ask, Yuner, what's wrong? Are you not feeling well? Should I call Dr. Sun over to take a look? Zhao Yuner waved her hand and chuckled. It's nothing. I just feel a little nauseous. There's no need to make a fuss. Mu Lianfeng frowned and said seriously, even if you feel a little uncomfortable, you can't slack off. It's better to ask Dr. Sun to take a look. Only then can I rest assured. Zhao Yuner guessed that she had caught a cold, so she felt a little uncomfortable and wanted to vomit. However, in order to reassure Mu Lianfeng, he still agreed to let Dr. Sun come over to take a look. Anyway, it was not troublesome. Zhao Tianfu led Daodu to Dr. Sun's house, and Dr. Sun quickly rushed over. After checking her pulse, Dr. Sun smiled and said to Zhao Yuner and Mu Lianfeng, Yuner's body is fine. That's good. Mu Lianfeng was relieved. But what? But congratulations to the two of you. Yuner is pregnant. She has been pregnant for more than a month. Ah. Zhao Yuner opened her mouth in surprise. She was pregnant? This was too sudden. In fact, except for the night when Mu Lianfeng first came back, Zhao Yuner indulged a little and let Mu Lianfeng into her body. She had been careful and paid attention to contraception. However, she did not expect that because of that one time, she would have a child so soon. At this time, Zhao Yuner's mood was very complicated. She was naturally happy to have a child that was really her and Mu Lianfeng's child. Although Daodu was also her child, strictly speaking, he was an indigenous person. She had not experienced pregnancy for 10 months, and then a difficult delivery. She had not experienced the fruit of her and Mu Lianfeng's love. Chapter 2481. But while he was happy, he couldn't help but worry. She was pregnant now. If she gave birth so soon, who would take care of her at home? Mu Hen was also about to give birth. She needed more people to take care of her and serve her during her confinement. Although Liang Jinxiao had given birth, Zhao Yun, Er's little sister, was still young and needed more people to take care of her. If she gave birth to a child now, I'm afraid that when there are more children at home, I'll be very busy. Seeing that Zhao Yun was not in a good mood and there was a touch of worry in her eyes, Mu Lianfeng asked with concern. Yun, what's wrong? Aren't you happy that we have a child? Or do you not want this child? Zhao Yun shook her head and a helpless smile appeared on her lips. Of course I'm happy to have a child, but I just feel that it's not the right time to have a child. There are many children at home these 2 days. I'm afraid that I won't be able to cope. Mu Lianfeng took Zhao Yun's hand and comforted her with a smile. Yun, if you're too busy, I'll hire a maid. She'll definitely take good care of our family. Although Zhao Yun didn't want to be served, Mu Lianfeng's idea was still feasible. Just like in the 21st century, there were not enough people at home to hire some aunts and nannies to help take care of the family. Okay. Zhao Yun nodded in response. Yun, it's great to have another child with you. Mu Lianfeng held Zhao Yun's hand tightly and was so excited that he couldn't let go. The first time when Zhao Yun gave birth, he couldn't be by her side and didn't take good care of his own child. This time was different. He could accompany Zhao Yun and take good care of her during the whole process. Dr. Sun said with a smile. Yun, you can eat more nourishing things and work less. Your body is still weak. After being pregnant, you have to pay attention to your body's health. Don't be too negligent. It's not good for the child in your belly. All right, Dr. Sun, I got it. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave first. Dr. Sun picked up his medicine box and stood up to leave. Dr. Sun, take care. When old Zhao's family heard that Zhao Yun was pregnant, they were all happy for Zhao Yun. In ancient times, the more children one had, the better. Especially those from wealthy families. Having a house full of children and grandchildren was a blessing. There had been too many happy events in old Zhao's family recently, and the villagers began to talk about feng shui again. Many people in the village were renovating their ancestral tombs, hoping that one day they would be as lucky as old Zhao's family. Ever since Zhao Yun became pregnant, the whole family didn't dare to let her do any of the chores at home, fearing that something would happen to her. All the work that needed to be done was done by the men in the family. Tian, such a small child, suddenly became sensible. She no longer came to disturb Zhao Yun and let Daodu and Mu Lianfeng take care of her. Therefore, Zhao Yun was very leisurely during this period. However, Zhao Yun couldn't stay idle, so she didn't do anything. She had nothing to do every day, so she was very bored. In fact, her family didn't have to be so nervous at all. In the first few months of pregnancy, her belly wasn't big. As long as she didn't do any hard work and was too tired, nothing serious would happen. Many women in ancient times dragged their big bellies to work in the fields when they were close to giving birth. Previously, when Liang Jinxiao was pregnant, although she was nervous, she wasn't too nervous. The most inconvenient thing about being pregnant was when she slept with Mu Lianfeng at night. Chapter 2482. But after a few days, he couldn't hold it in anymore. The two of them lay flat on the bed. Mu Lianfeng couldn't help but lean towards Zhao Yun. Then, he turned over and hugged Zhao Yuner in his arms. He couldn't help but rub his face against Zhao Yuner's neck and whispered in Zhao Yuner's ear, "Yuner, I can't hold it in anymore." Mu Lianfeng was a normal man. In addition, he was young and impetuous, so he had more desire. The woman he liked was in his arms, so it was difficult for him to hold it in. Zhao Yuner quickly pushed Mu Lianfeng away and stopped Mu Lianfeng's behavior. "No, Yuner, why? Don't you know that women can't have sex after they're pregnant?" Mu Lianfeng frowned and replied, "I know, but I thought it was just that you can't have sex after you're pregnant. Now that your belly is still small, it can't be seen. It should be fine." Zhao Yuner then explained to Mu Lianfeng. After a woman was pregnant, she couldn't have sex for the first 3 months, and the second 3 months. Although it was fine for the first few months, it was safer to have sex. Of course, for ordinary people, it was indeed very difficult for a normal man and woman to have sex for 10 months. In addition, during confinement to recuperate, they couldn't have sex for a year. This was a very painful and torturous period, but for the sake of the child in her belly, she could only endure it. After hearing Zhao Yuner's words, even if Mu Lianfeng's desire was very strong, he still restrained himself for Zhao Yuner and the child. "Okay, Yuner, I got it. Don't worry. I won't touch you if you can't." As Mu Lianfeng spoke, he hugged Zhao Yuner and gently planted a kiss on Zhao Yuner's forehead. He placed one hand on Zhao Yuner's belly and gently stroked it, feeling the little life in Zhao Yuner's belly. Unfortunately, the child was only a month old. It was too young to feel anything. Mu Lianfeng could only close his eyes and imagine what the child in Zhao Yuner's belly would be like when it was born. Mu Lianfeng hoped that the child could be as pure and beautiful as Zhao Yuner. "Yuner, do you think it's better for us to have a boy or a baby girl?" Mu Lianfeng asked with a smile. Zhao Yuner thought for a moment. "Boys and girls are good. But we're already having a boy. It's better if we have a girl." "It's only good if we have both a boy and a girl." Mu Lianfeng nodded in agreement. "I also think it's better to have a girl. A daughter is the most considerate child of her parents. It's good if the girl can be as cute and sensible as Tian Tian." "Yeah. Haha. Go to sleep. You have to sleep more. It's good for the child in your belly if you sleep well." "Okay." The two of them snuggled together, and soon fell asleep. On the other end, Anil had just fallen asleep when he heard a scream from Yi Li's room. Anil was so scared that he didn't even put on his shoes. He rushed into Yi Li's room to see what was wrong with Yi Li. He saw Yi Li sitting on the bed with a layer of sweat on his forehead. Under the moonlight coming through the window, his face was pale. Anil rushed to Yi Li and asked, "Yi Li, what's wrong? What happened? Why do you look so pale?" Faced with Anil's concern, Yi Li had a strange feeling in his heart. However, on the surface he replied calmly, "It's none of your business. Don't ask." Chapter 2483. I told you you don't have to care about my business. We have nothing to do with each other. Yi Li still looked at Anil coldly. "No, I want to care. Yi Li, I'm telling you, I'm definitely going to care about your business. I'm going to rely on you for the rest of my life. Let's see what you can do about it." Anil acted shamelessly. "You." Before Yi Li could teach Anil a lesson, he felt a sudden pain in his forehead. He rubbed his temples in pain and closed his eyes. He felt terrible. Anil panicked when she saw this. She immediately asked anxiously, "Yi Li, don't scare me. What's wrong with you?" Sob, sob, sob. "Don't scare me. Can you talk to me and tell me what's wrong?" Anil was startled by Yi Li's movement and started crying. Yi Li suddenly felt bad when he heard Anil's crying. "I'm fine," he replied in a weak voice. "How can you say that you're fine? Or are you trying to fool?" Sob, sob, sob. "Where am I going to find a doctor for you in the middle of the night?" Anil couldn't help but wipe the tears from the corners of her eyes. She felt even more sorry for Yi Li. This is an old problem. No doctor can cure it. Don't even think about it. Then what are you going to do? Was she going to just stand by and watch Yi Li continue to suffer? Seeing Yi Li like this, Anil felt even more pain than when she was injured. She wished that she was the one suffering this pain instead of Yi Li. Yi Li. Anil sniffled. She went up to Yi Li and hugged Yi Li. She hoped that her hug could bring some comfort to Yi Li and let Yi Li know that she cared about him. It was Anil's embrace that soothed Yi Li's pain. It was the first time he had been hugged like this. If it were any other day, he would have pushed Anil away. But this time he did not. He enjoyed the warmth of this embrace, and his heart gradually calmed down. Yi Li thought he must be crazy. Why was he unable to resist Anil's embrace? Yi Li reached out and hugged Anil. All of this surprised Anil too much. He was stunned for a moment before his entire body stiffened. She expected Yi Li to push her away. However, not only did Yi Li not push her away, he even returned her hug. Anil thought that she must be dreaming, so he reached out and pinched her cheek hard. Immediately, she felt a sharp pain on her face. The pain made her realize that she wasn't dreaming. Yi Li really hugged her. Did this mean that Yi Li had accepted her? Actually, he didn't dislike her that much, right? She could feel the happiness of getting along with Yi Li these days. Although Yi Li was still cold to her on the surface, she actually cared about her. She didn't resist like at the beginning. Yi Li, I really like you. If you want to hug me, you can hug me anytime. Anyway, I'm depending on you for the rest of my life. Now that you're hugging me, you have to take responsibility. Anil mumbled. Yi Li did not reply. He just hugged Anil's hand reluctantly. His heart told him that he shouldn't do this, but his body gave another response. Chapter 2484. In the next few months, life became more and more comfortable. Mu Lianfeng hired a few servant girls to take care of Zhao Yun'er's daily life, so they were not so busy. Zhao Yun'er's belly became bigger because of her pregnancy. By the time she was 8 or 9 months pregnant, it was very inconvenient for her to move around. However, Zhao Yun'er knew that she could not sit for long after she was pregnant. She had to exercise from time to time, so that it would be easier for her to give birth. Estimating the expected date of delivery, the family had already arranged for a midwife in advance, waiting for the day of delivery after the full term. For some reason, Zhao Yun'er's belly was bigger than the average person's. Several sisters-in-law of old Zhao's family gathered together, staring at Zhao Yun'er's belly and discussing curiously. Yun'er's belly is really bigger than the average person's. Yes. It's too big. I reckon that the child in her belly will be very big when it's born. It should be a big fat boy. Definitely. With such a big belly, it must be a son. Zhao Yun'er touched her belly and could not help but laugh. People in ancient times valued boys over girls and wanted a son, but she did not. Sigh, but fate made fools of people. The more you think about it, the less you think about it. She wanted to give birth to a daughter, but she did not have a daughter. At this time, Tiantian's walking was very nimble. This child was smart, which meant that she could also speak a few sentences, so communication was not a problem. Tian was like a little rabbit, skipping over to Zhao Yun'er. She touched Zhao Yun'er's belly with her little hand and giggled. Then she pointed at Zhao Yun'er's belly and said, younger sister, younger sister." Old Zhao's sisters-in-law, who was standing nearby, reminded her, "Little girl, what younger sister? It's a younger brother." Tian pouted and said unhappily, Tian wants a younger sister, not a younger brother." Ha! Zhao Yun'er was amused and asked Tian, "Why does Tian want a younger sister and not a younger brother?" Tian wants a younger sister. Mother will give birth to a younger sister, okay? Ah, good. Zhao Yun'er patted Tian's head and replied with a doting tone. Daoda stood up and said, "Mother, Daoda likes little brother. Mother should give birth to a younger brother." Zhao Yun'er shook her head. "One of you wants a younger brother, and the other wants a younger sister. Nyangqing can't give birth to twins all of a sudden, and let you have a younger brother and a younger sister, right? Then whether mother gives birth to a younger brother or a younger sister, Daoda will like them both." Daoda replied sensibly, "That's right. No matter if it's a younger brother or a younger sister, they're still your brothers and sisters. As older brothers and sisters, you have to take care of your younger siblings in the future, okay? Yes. The two children nodded very sensibly. Douda stepped forward and looked at Zhao Yuner with pleading eyes. Mother, can Douda touch the little brother in mother's stomach? Listen to his voice like father? Of course. Hehe. Douda happily came forward and pressed his ear against Zhao Yuner's stomach. After feeling a slight movement, Douda excitedly shouted, Mother, little brother is moving. Haha. Mother, when can Douda see little brother? Soon. In 1 or 2 months. Douda wants to see him immediately. Douda's eyes shone brightly with anticipation. Chapter 2485. Everything is going well. For Zhao Yuner, who had no experience in childbirth, giving birth was indeed a very painful process. Only by personally experiencing it could she truly understand that kind of pain. Perhaps it was because the baby in her belly was too big, but Zhao Yuner had a lot of trouble giving birth. A layer of sweat beaded on her forehead because of the pain. In ancient times, the delivery room was an inauspicious place because seeing blood could bring bad luck. Under normal circumstances, men were not allowed to enter. But Mu Lianfeng did not care so much and insisted on staying by Zhao Yuner's side. After several hours of labor, she finally gave birth to a child. The midwife joyfully said to Mu Lianfeng, Congratulations, Lord Heir, it's a boy. In the future, there will be another young master at home. Just as she finished speaking, the midwife realized that something was wrong and started muttering again. No, there's another one in the belly. As she spoke, the midwife put down the child and continued to deliver. After that, Zhao Yuner continued to give birth to a girl. The busy people in the delivery room hurriedly helped to wash the 2 babies. The midwife grinned from ear to ear. Lord Heir and Lord Heir consort are really blessed. You actually gave birth to a boy and a girl. This old woman has never seen such a thing in all these years of delivering babies. A boy and a girl were auspicious. It was an auspicious sign. Zhao Yuner gave birth to a boy and a girl at once. Everyone in the family was overjoyed when they heard this. Mu Lianfeng was also excited. Looking at the weak Zhao Yuner, he gently kissed Zhao Yuner's head and said, Yuner, did you hear that? We gave birth to a boy and a girl. At this moment, Zhao Yuner was very weak, but she was also very happy when she heard that she gave birth to a boy and a girl. The midwife brought the 2 babies to Zhao Yuner and let Zhao Yuner see the 2 babies' appearances. The babies were wrinkled when they were born, but it could be vaguely seen that the children's facial features were very handsome. They would definitely be very good-looking when they grew up. The moment she saw the child, Zhao Yuner suddenly felt that all the pain she had suffered was worth it. Yuner, thank you for your hard work. In the future, we will always protect you. Mu Lianfeng held Zhao Yuner's hand tightly and promised. Time flew by. In the following days, Mu Lianfeng fulfilled her promise, just as she had said. The whole family stayed together. Although they lived a simple life in the countryside, they felt a happiness that they had never felt before. Meanwhile, everything around them was getting better. Zhao Yuner's tea business was getting bigger and bigger. Most of the business was slowly handed over to Mu Lan's family and Mu Hin and Zhao Tianan to manage. After a few years, they had planted more tea leaves on several mountains. The business of raising pigs was also doing well. At least, their family members did not have to worry about food and clothing. Because they no longer had to worry about survival, Zhao Yuner spent most of her time with her family, assisting her husband and teaching her children. In the blink of an eye, 2 years had passed. The 2 children had already learned how to talk and walk. They would not stop being naughty every day. Fortunately, there were many people in the family. Many people took care of them, so they were not too tired. Mother, Zhao Yuner had only been gone for an hour. The 2 children immediately ran over when they saw her. They opened their little arms and asked for a hug. Zhao Yuner could only hug one child on each side. Anil saw this and said sadly, Sigh, these 2 little ingrates. I've been taking care of them for so long, but they're still not close to me. They're only talking about how good their mother is. Zhao Yuner smiled and replied, Princess Royal, then you should give birth to one yourself. Only a biological one is close. Anil thought about it and nodded in agreement. Yuner is right. A biological one is good. I want to give birth to one too. Then she turned to Yi Li and said, Yili, can I help you give birth to a monkey too? No. Yili shook his head. No. Let's give birth to one too. I don't care. I'm sticking to you. I want to give birth to a monkey for you. Anil clung on to Yili. Yili quickly turned around to escape. But the moment he turned around, he smiled. It was as bright, happy, and warm as the sun in the sky. And the ending. Everyone is living a happy and wonderful life. I hope everyone's life will have a happy ending. I've been writing this book for more than a year. Thank you for your company for more than a year. I'm really grateful for everyone's support. If you want to continue reading, you can take a look at my other works. It's a farming novel of the same genre. Beautiful Peasant Girl. Picking a General to Farm is a free monthly subscription. Monthly subscribers can support it. My new book, Fierce Wife Farming. The man in the mountains dotes on endlessly. Although I can't bear to part with this book, I still want to say goodbye to everyone today. Moi, end of chapter. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.